Hello everyone, welcome to the BUD 403 Profiles of Buddhist Leadership course conducted by the International University of the East, Los Angeles. My name is Venerable Sumita and I am your instructor of this course. So, today is our week 5. We are going to discuss about Buddhist perspectives on leadership today, and I would like to talk about this under different leadership perspectives according to Buddhism. I would like to have your attention to this paper special. A paper called A Buddhist View of Leadership, the Case of the Auto Project by Suaroj Kemautanon, University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, Bangkok, Thailand, and Joanne Dubele, University of Birmingham, UK. And this is not necessarily pretty much related to the ancient story of the leadership, but the paper is about the leadership in community organizations in Thailand. So there are certain things I would like you to go through this paper. I have uploaded it to the Google Drive, week 5 reading materials, and it's interesting how these leadership qualities have been affected the Thai society in present day. Ever since Buddhism was introduced to that country, for many centuries, there have been a lot of model of leadership and role models and lots of leadership and the structure and their management systems and many things. That whole structure have been affected specifically by Buddhist values. If you notice the Thai Buddhist Sangha, they have very wonderful leadership qualities. In Thailand, for example, there is only one Thai Sangharaja, what we call, and he is the supreme leader of all the hundreds of thousands of Buddhist monks in Thailand. And he is a very, very respectable monk. And under him, there are other hundreds of thousands of Buddhist monks. And so how Buddhism has impacted the Thai society is what they want to talk about here. And especially in the findings section, the author says, the results and analysis lead to the conclusion that there are 3 levels of leadership process, beginning with the benefits to oneself, the benefits to others, and mutual benefits. The findings suggest that philanthropy and thinking beyond self-interest are the crucial qualities of leadership that make other people want to follow a leader's path. Practical implications. The process of leadership will help leaders and their subordinates to be more self-reliant and develop themselves in the long term. So, this paper highlights the influence of Buddhism on the role of leadership in community organizations in Thailand. So, worth reading this paper. I recommend you read this paper, and maybe in your final project, maybe you can think of something like this or whatever you like to think. Okay, so Buddhist leadership theories, if we take, I would like to talk certain Buddhist theories that we have as Buddhist perspectives on leadership. And one of the most important theory in Buddhism that we can relate to leadership and exceptional leadership qualities are the what we call Brahma Vihara, or 4 sublime states. So accordingly, it is said the leader, he or she should have these 4 qualities: metta, karuna, mudita, and upekha. So metta means infinite loving kindness, and there is no demarcation, no restriction. That is boundless, unconditional love towards everyone, and that is one of the most important qualities in among these 4 sublime states, or what we call 4 Brahma Vihara. And when somebody has the loving kindness, he or she should have no discrimination to anyone. Let's say in one of the very famous Buddhist discourse called Karaniya Metta Sutta, the metta, or the loving kindness, is compared to a mother's love. Mother's love in the sense that, let's say, like as if a mother who's got only one child, and she would protect her only child even at the cost of her own life. So should we radiate our loving kindness to every sentient being without any limitation. That is what we call metta. And the second one is karuna. Karuna means compassion, and compassion is a very crucial concept in Buddhism. When somebody suffers, we have to feel pity for that person. We have to help that person, and no matter how much you can, you should dedicate yourself, and you should try yourself to help that person. So karuna is defined as paradukkhe sati hadayam kampeti iti karuna. When somebody suffers, your heart should melt. You should be able to sympathize that person and help that person in whatever capacity you can. So it's not necessarily involved with money, and you can do it in so many different ways. Let's say just helping a blind person to cross the street, or something like that. If somebody suffers, you have to a homeless person or a sick person, or many cases you have to help these people. In Buddha's lifetime, there was one monk called Puti Gatta Tissa, and he was suffering so much, and he had a kind of rash all around, all over his body. And then the monks in that particular temple, they did not pay enough attention to him, and then the Buddha came to know about him, and then Buddha went to him along with Venerable Ananda, and then Buddha cleaned the monk all by himself and washed him, and he also applied some ointment on him and medicine, and then after that he gathered the assembly of monks, and then he strongly admonished the community of Mahasangha there, the monks. He said, if somebody is sick, you should definitely do your level best to help that person. And if you take care of the sick, that means you are just like take care of myself. The kind of merit that you can generate by taking care of attending a sick person is like you personally attending the Buddha himself. So if somebody has that privilege to attend to the Buddha, it is said that is one of the most precious merits that one can have. So the Buddha said, you have the golden opportunity. If you see any sick person anywhere, anytime in your life, you should take care of him. You should help that person, and that way you can also gain a lot of merits. And so this karuna, the compassion theory is a very, very powerful thing in concept in Buddhism. The next one is even more challenging. That is called mudita. Mudita is sympathetic joy. Let's say somebody is happier. When somebody suffers, it's natural, and you naturally you have that instinct to feel sorry for that feel sorry for that person. But can we have the same thing, like when somebody is happier and more joyful and more successful, can we also feel happy for that person? And that is actually more challenging, right? When somebody is sick, of course it is much more easier for you to feel empathy or feel sorry for that person. But when somebody is happier, like in our human instincts, we normally average, we do have the jealousy, and underlying tendency in us is that we feel jealousy, and we feel jealous, and we also would like to see some negativity, and we do not want to appreciate that or accept it, or something is fishy about that. So in this case, Buddhism very strongly prescribed the disciples to cultivate this powerful concept, the challenging concept of mudita. So when somebody is smarter than you, when somebody is more educated than you, when somebody is better off, more richer, more better looking, whichever way, if somebody is better off, you should be able to enjoy that. You should be able to feel happy for that person, and you should think, oh, this person has done so much good in his or her past life or whatever, and because of that now this person is enjoying the benefit of those good karma, past good action, and that's why that this person is privileged to enjoy the luxuries of today's life. And so what he or she should do, what you should do is to keep your palms together and say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That way you actually appreciate and enjoy and then share the great merits that person have. If somebody is enjoying that life, somebody is having that happiness, smiling, and all the luxuries of that person's life, the other person, like me or you, what we should do is we should be happier too, and we should keep our palms together and say sadhu, 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 and that way we don't get the pang or the virus of vicious virus of jealousy. So it's really counteracting against jealousy. Mudita, sympathetic joy, is challenging but very, very effective. If we can cultivate in our life, we also can be happier in that way. The next one is even more challenging, like upekka is equanimity. When something happens around us, normally what we have, the problem what we have is we feel disturbed. Like, let's say, if something happens right now, the world is affected with COVID-19, and a lot of people, they keep watching the news, and then they feel very stressed, and they also want to count the dead bodies, and how many people have been affected, and in this country, in that country, or in this city, in that city, in this state, in that state, and so many news. And unfortunately today, news means heartbreaking news, and breaking news means really heartbreaking news. It's nothing good about people, nothing good about the world, and they don't normally advertise or publish or give publicity to better news, like calm, peaceful, and the news that make you happy. And normally they use that psychology to break the other's heart, and that is what they call breaking news. And so upekha is a quality that trains you not to be disturbed by anything, whatever happens around you. Let's say, for example, a mother has her children, and then she tries her best, let's say even both parents, and they work so hard, and they try so hard to make their children better educated, and doing a good job, and also follow their instructions, and they have a lot of aspirations, a lot of expectations towards the children. And when something like the children, if they don't follow the instructions of the parents, or if they don't work according to the expectations of the parents, and then the parents very worried. Especially, I think the Asian parents are really worried about that. I guess, of course, everywhere the parents are really in so much love towards their children, but compared to the Western parents, I assume the Asian parents are too much possessive of their children, and they try to educate them. They try to lead their children towards whatever goal they want. And sometimes it doesn't happen. What happens is their parents are very worried, they are very stressed. And so in upekka, if you have this quality called upekka, you should not be disturbed by whatever happens. So the Buddha said these 4 qualities, what we call sublime states, or Brahma Vihara. It is said the creator god those days in India was called Mahabrahma, and that was the creator god. And Mahabrahma, it is said he did have these qualities: metta, karuna, mudita, and upekha. The loving kindness, the compassion, the sympathetic joy, and equanimity. He had this boundless, immeasurable qualities towards all subjects in the world, all his all sentient beings in the world. And so people used to pay respect to the Mahabrahma so much. And then the Buddha said, the Mahabrahma is someone who you can see, and but there are creator gods at your own home. They are your own parents. So your parents have all these four wonderful qualities, and they always take care of their children. They have unconditional, immeasurable, boundless love towards their children. And whenever children have some stressful situations, or sickness, or illness, or downfall, parents are really, really honestly worried, and they have that karuna, loving compassion towards their children. And then compared to anyone in the world, parents would be the best when they see their children growing in their life and doing well in their life, succeeding in their career. Parents would be the most happiest, and they will be the happiest in the world. And in that way, the parents' mudita, sympathetic joy, is really, really supreme. And when the parents see their children getting getting better educated, and settling in their life, and getting married, and having children, and buying a house, and running a business, and doing many things in their life, the parents, when they grow old, they see them, and they have that equanimity, and they feel equanimity towards their children and everything. And so these are the four sublime states, and or Brahma Viharas that parents have. So the Buddha said, instead of worshipping or praying for someone who you don't see in your life, and you have living creator God right at your home, and go salute them, go worship them, go pray for them, and do whatever you can to make them happier. And so that is a practical solution by the Buddha those days, and it's really a very revolutionary idea. You need to remember that in India, they are very, very concerned about these things, and the vast majority of the society, they were believing in these things. And then here comes the Buddha, and giving these revolutionary ideas of valorizing the parents and equalizing the parents to the Mahabrahma himself. And so then this quality of what we call four sublime states, I want to make sure that we have these things in a good leadership. So the parents are the leaders in the family, and whosoever leader in an organization, that leader needs to have, is required to have these qualities, and then he or she can lead that organization without any discrimination. Imagine like there is your supervisor, or there is the CEO, whosoever, and if that person has these four qualities, and that person can run the business very, very nicely, and that person can have the compassion, no discrimination to anyone, and that person, the boss, when he sees his employees having some difficulty, and then he jumps into that and helps them, and then when his employees are getting better, succeeding, the leader, he has to be happier and enjoy that happiness, share that happiness with their employees. And then when everything is going smoothly and doing things well and succeeding and all the things whatever happening ups and downs in the organization, and the people who work under him or her, that person, if that person has this quality called upekha, or equanimity, then he or she won't be disturbed too much. Especially today, a lot of people are suffering unemployment and business down, and all kinds of things are happening. And if the leader has this upekha, equanimity, I think you can be really very strong inside within yourself. Your inner peace will not be disturbed that much, because you have the powerful quality called upekha. It doesn't happen overnight, of course. It's a part of your practice, constant practice, and only then you can see things as they really are, and you will see those ups and downs in life, and then in your organization, in your business, or whatever, and then it will be easier for you to practice and to encounter any situations like that. And I also want to talk about something called 8 there are 8 worldly conditions. The Buddha said, bhikkhus, these 8 worldly conditions revolve around the world, and the world revolves around these 8 worldly conditions. What are those 8? Gain and loss, disrepute and fame, blame and praise, and pleasure and pain. These 8 worldly conditions revolve around the world, and the world revolves around these 8 worldly conditions. And so gain and loss, disrepute and fame, blame and praise, pleasure and pain, these conditions that people meet are impermanent, transient, and subject to change. A wise and mindful person knows them and sees that they are subject to change. Desirable conditions don't excite his mind, nor is he repelled undesirable conditions. As he has dispelled attraction and repulsion, they are gone and no longer present. Having known the dustless, sorrowless state, he understands rightly and has transcended existence. So the Buddha explains these 8 worldly conditions in regard to the worldly life and the ups and downs in life, and how can we manage these things without being too much worried. And basically the Buddhist values, the teachings, teach them, train them how to meet with these things. The Buddha said, because an uninstructed worldling meets gain and loss, disrepute and fame, blame and praise, and pleasure and gain. An instructed noble disciple also meets gain and loss, disrepute and fame, blame and praise, and pleasure and pain. What is the distinction, the disparity, the difference between an instructed noble disciple and an uninstructed worldling with regard to this? And so these 8 worldly conditions are also very important for somebody to when somebody is having a good leadership, knowing these things, knowing the reality, knowing the change, the impermanence of life and all conditioned things, and that helps someone to maintain that inner peace, not being too much affected and too much loss or worry about whatever happens. So that can make you grow in confidence and do better, and also inculcate some positive energy in you all the time. And the other is, let's say, like leading by example is another leadership quality in perspective in Buddha's life. I want to share with you a story about Pukkusati. I think maybe if we have discussed, maybe a little bit we have discussed before. If not, this will also give you some idea the value of leadership, the perspective of Buddhist leadership. Buddha has a very set routine, daily routine, and every single morning Buddha used to wake up so early, and he wakes up and he goes to deep transient samadhi, or what we call jhanic concentration and meditation. And in that profound deep samadhi or jhanic concentration, or what we call Maha Karuna Samapatti, that's about great compassion. And the Buddha scans the world. He every day, it's a part of his schedule. Every single morning he would do that. He would look at the world. How can I help someone today? How can I rescue someone from this miserable samsara, miserable circle of transmigration? And so, having done so, he would see if there is any eligible person, any potential person for him to rescue. And if there is someone who is smart enough to realize his Dhamma, his teaching, he would go there and help that person. In many cases, Buddha has done that as an exceptionally kind-hearted, compassionate, and a very true, as a very true leader. And on one occasion, the Buddha, on one morning, he saw someone called Pukkusati. So Pukkusati was a king actually, and this king, he heard about the Buddha, and he was very happy about the Buddha's teaching, and he wanted to become a monk, and he was actually ruling a very remote country, and then far away from Savatthi, the Buddha's current location. And Pukkusati just gave up his kingdom, and he gave the leadership to other people and his family members, children, and then he left home to become a monk under the Buddha's dispensation. And so Buddha also recognized him, and he saw in his meditation Pukkusati is coming, and also he knew Pukkusati was potentially intelligent enough to realize his Dhamma. And then he wanted to go, he did not want to wait until he comes to Jetavana Monastery, Savatthi, because he knew there is a life-threatening situation for him. Because of the Buddha's powerful divine eye, he could see that. And then he actually went on the way to meet him and see the exceptional leadership quality of the Buddha. And so he went there, and then when he went there, Pukkusati was already taking rest in a roadside rest house. And those days there were some rest houses like that for people to take rest, because those days most of the people would walk, and that was the most popular mode of transport that they had. They just walk, and so miles and miles, maybe hundreds of miles, they would walk. And Buddha also, during his whole lifetime, he would walk. And so this person called Pukusati, he was taking rest there, and the Buddha went there, and he went inside the rest house. And already that was actually, this tradition was there in India those days, and people who walk, just those passers by, anyone can stay overnight or take rest or whatever in roadside rest houses like this. And the person who comes first would be like the owner. So when the Buddha went there, he had to ask permission from Pukusati to stay overnight. And Pukusati said, of course, there are a lot of space here, you can definitely stay here, I don't have any obligation. And then the Buddha asked Pukusati, who is you? You look like an person who is following a spiritual life, or some. Who is your teacher? Who who is your leader or spiritual master? And then Pukusati said, I haven't met my spiritual master yet, but I have heard of his Dhamma, of his doctrine, and I want to go meet him. I'm on my way to meet him. And then the Buddha asked, do you know him? Yes, I don't know him. I haven't seen him, but I have heard of his Dhamma. And then the Buddha asked, if you meet this master, can you recognize? And Pukusati said, I don't think I can recognize. I haven't seen him before. And what's his name? That was the Buddha himself. And now Buddha knew. Pukusati came in search of him, and Buddha actually did not reveal that he himself was the Buddha that he was searching for. And then the Buddha said, okay, very nice, I'm very happy to meet you today, and as we are both free in the evening, maybe let us discuss some spiritual matters. And Pukusati said, of course, yes, I'm very happy, and I'm happy to listen to you. And then the Buddha gave him such a wonderful, profound Dhamma talk, after which he, Pukusati, realized the Dhamma very well. And at the end of this discussion, Pukusati knew, and the person that he was listening to all this time should be none other than the Buddha himself. And then he bowed in front of the Buddha, and he also sought forgiveness from him, because he said, Buddha, please forgive me. I know now you are the this great blessed one, the Buddha, the enlightened one that I have been searching for, and I was on my way to meet you, and you came here to meet me, and I'm very honored and very fortunate to meet you here, but I'm so sorry, and please forgive me because I called you my friend. Auso means friend. And then the Buddha said, it's okay, you did not know, but you were also very humble and very open-minded to be able to listen to someone, a stranger, without any discrimination, and eventually you listen to the Dhamma and you realize the Dhamma. And this story also gives a lot of lessons for all of us. And in today's context, a lot of people, they marginalize the good teachings, and also they try to have sectarian views. Okay, I don't want to listen to that person, I don't want to follow this thing. And if that was the case, Pukkusati would not have been able to listen to the Buddha's Dhamma and realize the Dhamma. And Pukkusati was very open-minded, and Buddha was also very kind and compassionate, and they both met together and they discussed the Dhamma, and eventually Pukkusati realized the Dhamma. And what happened actually, what followed was a very unfortunate accident, because Pukkusati asked the Buddha that he wanted to become a monk, wanted to enter the order, and then the Buddha asked him, okay, I'm happy to ordain you, but you have to bring a bowl, a begging bowl, and a robe to make you a monk. And then Pukkusati said, I don't have it right now, but I will go get it. And then he went in search for it, and then on the way he was knocked down by a cow, and he died. So this accident Buddha already knew, and he did not also want to stop that, because that was his own karma too. And sometimes the karma follows you and you have to face it. And that is why the Buddha came before his death, because if he was late, Pukkusati would not have been able to realize the Dhamma. So Buddha actually rescued him in that way. And in another case, there was one young man called Mattakundali, and Mattakundali's father was very miserly person, and when his son was sick, Mattakundali's father did not want to spend money to give some medicine to him. And actually when his sickness was aggravated, father had no other choice but to leave the child outside his home. It was like his last few moments, last few hours for his this young man's life. And this day, fortunately for him, the Buddha saw him again in his meditation, morning meditation, Maha Karuna Samapatti Samadhi, the great compassionate meditation. And then he saw this innocent young man who is about to die, but he needs some help. And then the Buddha went there. When the Buddha went there, the young man was looking at the wall. He was facing towards the wall at his home, outside his home, backyard. And then the Buddha just sent a light, a radiation, and so which attracted the attention of the young man, and that was his last few moments of his life. And he suddenly saw a very kind, very compassionate person standing in front of him, and he was so happy to see the Buddha just before his death. And it is said, with that beautiful feeling, with that happy feeling, he passed away, and he was born as a heavenly being in the heavenly realm. So there are many beautiful stories like that about the Buddha's life, and how he was compassionate, and how he was showing his true leadership quality to help rescue many people. And the organizational wise, how this these leadership values have helped the whole structure of the Buddhist society is also very important. I'm going to touch upon that a little later. And there are three strata or layers of Buddhist spiritual journey, and what we call Sila, Samadhi and Panya. So Sila, Samadhi and Panya, these things are very, very important in order to gain the spiritual achievement in one's life. And Sila means the morality, and Samadhi means the concentration, and Panya is the wisdom. So ethical or morality concept, or that aspect, is the most important foundation of Buddhist spiritual journey, and there is no education, Buddhist education, the complete overall Buddhist education would be incomplete without ethical consideration, ethical foundation. So ethical foundation for the onward journey of wisdom is the Sila. Ethical foundation is the most important factor in one's spiritual achievement. When somebody has this spiritual ethical foundation, he or she can easily concentrate, strengthen their samadhi, or what we call concentration. And when somebody has the sila and samadhi, and then he or she can have the chance to sharpen the wisdom or panya. So the importance of precepts in Buddhism is very, very important, very, very crucial. And so there are different kinds of precepts. One is 5 precepts. All the lay devotees of Buddhism, they need to practice 5 precepts. And then also they have something called 8 precepts, 10 precepts, and these are all for the lay people, none just people of regular, who live regular life. So they have to practice these precepts. And 5 precepts is not to kill, and not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, and not to tell lies, and not to take drinks and drugs that cause intoxication or heedlessness. These are the 5 precepts. Every single person, they in Buddhist society, they have to practice these, and that way, only by practicing them, you can be called a Buddhist. Otherwise, just not for the namesake, you can be called a Buddhist. So, like, first precept is not to hurt others, not to kill others. That means you respect others' life. And the second one is not to steal something from others. That means you respect others' property. And the third one is not to engage in sexual misconduct. That means you respect others' family life. And a lot of families are affected today due to this problem. And sexual misconduct, a huge issue today, and many things happening because of that. And so if a person who follows this ideal morality or ethical precepts, they can have a very wonderful, healthy society, peaceful society. So sexual misconduct is something that should be avoided by these practitioners. And the fourth one is not to tell lies. So false speech is something really unacceptable in Buddhism, and being truthful, being honest, being sincere is really important for somebody's life. When you start speaking truth, you always have the chance to be respected and accepted by the other people. And if you start making a habit of, if you have a knack of telling lies, and one day or the other people will come to know about that, and then you have no choice, and you will start losing your integrity, your good name, and your fame, and also the respect from the other people. So if you want to be respected and accepted, and if you want a good fame and name, and then you have to be truthful. Being truthful is very, very important. And the last one in the 5 precepts is not to take drinks and drugs that cause intoxication or heedlessness. So again, these 5 precepts are really, really important in someone's life, and these ethical considerations should be very seriously taken into consideration and practiced by all the Buddhists. And actually, even these things have no religious kind of labels. Everyone in the world, if they practice these 5 precepts, and the world will be a very beautiful place, and there is nothing that can hinder you by practicing these things. And if we practice these things, most of the bad things in the world will run away, and the world will be a very nice, very peaceful and prosperous, and also healthy and respectable society. Imagine what we have here, like all those killings and all those weapons and stuff like that. And then the business is full of fraud and all kinds of thefts and robberies and all kinds of things, stealings. It's happening everywhere in many different ways. The corruption, all kinds of fraudulent activities are happening, and then the family life is in a mess in many cases, and people don't tell the truth, and they always cheat and not honest and not sincere, and this is really sad. And today's world is so much messed with drinks and drugs, and lots of young people are addicted to drugs, and we humans have been doing so many bad things to this society because we don't follow the 5 precepts. And so that's why the sila is the key to our education. Whole person education in Buddhism is very incomplete if you don't have sila or morality. So this 5 precepts for a lay person is very important. And once in a while, like once a month or something, on a full moon day, the lay people also practice 3 more extra precepts, and that is called like doing some fasting, and also being simple. You don't take any all kinds of unnecessary decorations of the body, like having ornaments and all kinds of makeup and all that stuff. So you give your body a little bit of break and practice simple, down to earth, humble lifestyle, and also not using all those comfortable cushions, and just sit on the floor and be closer to your mother earth, and that way you also can practice a different lifestyle. And also once in a while, if you do that, you will also feel a different energy. And 2 more precepts will be added to them to make it 10 precepts, and these are all for the lay people. And for the monks and nuns, there are hundreds of them, hundreds of precepts. For monks, for example, they have 227 precepts to follow, and for nuns even more. They have 311 precepts to follow. So these precepts, these morality issues are very much a part of their life, and then this Buddhist society have this powerful, beautiful perspective on ethical values to make their life a better place and more meaningful, and those qualities can also lead to wonderful leadership qualities. So these organizational wise, if we take the entire Buddhist order is divided into four, what we call bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, upasaka and upasika. Bhikkhus are the monks who have renounced the world, who have dedicated and sacrificed their life and energy for the well-being and happiness and good health of the society, the other people, and they come out of their family life and they devote themselves to practice their spiritual practice, and then they want to achieve their spiritual success. And then the bhikkhunis are the female women, and then who have also left their family life and who have renounced their life, a worldly life, and chosen a simple lifestyle and to follow the spiritual path. And the upasakas and upasikas are the devotees, the lay people who actually provide the four requisites, what we call four requisites to the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. They have to provide four requisites to the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. Those four requisites are called chīvara, pindapata, senasana and gilana pacchaya. So chīvara means robe. Chīvara means robe, and that is the cloth of the monks and nuns. And pindapata is the food, and senasana is the place to live, residence, whatever kutis or something they have, and gilana pacchaya is their medicine. So all these four requisites should be provided by the lay devotees, upasakas and upasikas, to the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. And that way upasakas and upasikas and those male and female devotees take care of the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, monks and nuns. And in return, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, monks and nuns take care of their spiritual life. And so they advise them, they show them the true path, and they also give them dhamma talks, and they they teach them meditation, and they teach the Buddha's dhamma. That way they help each other. This mutual beneficial system is very, very interesting and very powerful concept in Buddhism. So this structure is very unique, and they all have their own duties. They have their value systems, morality, code of conduct, and all kinds of things are there. So this is really important. For example, as I said, monks and nuns have hundreds of precepts to practice, and so it's very hard, right? And that's why the Buddha said, Vinayo nama sasanasa ayo. Code of conduct is the very lifeline of the whole dispensation, whole fraternity of the Mahasangha, the community of monks and nuns. If you don't pay attention, if you don't care about that morality, that code of conduct, then it's very hard. And Buddha advised the monks to anumattesu vajjesu bhayadassavi sikkata sikkapadesu. Anumattesu vajjesu bhayadassavi sikkata sikkapadesu. He said that means you have to have those two principles, what we call Deva Dhamma or Lokapalaka Dhamma. Deva Dhamma means they are the divine qualities, and those are the shame and fear of doing bad things, and shame of doing shame to be feeling shame or being shameful to do something bad. So shame and fear are called the two important Deva Dhammas or Dhammas, or the conduct of the heavenly beings. And if someone feels shameful when he or she is about to do something wrong, that saves that person, that rescues that person from doing it, and that actually helps him or her to avoid that wrongdoing. And if he or she is afraid of doing something, also the world will become, and the humanity will become much more meaningful, and life will become very nice and pleasant and peaceful and beautiful. So these dhammas, or what we call Deva Dhammas, are very, very important again. So anumattesu vajjesu bhayadassavi sikkhata sikkhapadesu means those monks and nuns, they have to have this shame and fear of doing even slightest wrongdoings in their life. They have to be really, really careful about that. Yeah. So, and when the Buddha had met his first 60 disciples, that is for the first time, he gave them an instruction, a very strong instruction to all of them. He said, Charata bhikkhave charikang bahujana hitaya bahujana sukhaya attaya hitaya sukhaya deva manusanang ma ekena dve agamita. This is a really very powerful statement. The Buddha said, don't worry about the Pali, just because I'm very used to that, so I just quote these things from the original Tipitaka, and you don't have to worry about that. You just get the meaning, that's enough. So Charata bhikkhave charikang bahujana hitaya bahujana sukhaya means the Buddha asked his first missionary group of 60 Arahant monks, go forward monk, and go forward for the benefit and for the welfare and well-being of the many, and work for the many and rescue them, help them, teach them the Dhamma, show them the true path, show them the right path. And as you have 60 monks, don't use the same one path by two monks, and better you take two paths, so two monks can go in two ways. So many directions you can be used, and that way you can reach more and more innocent people, and that way you can help more and more people in the world. So these are really important teachings of the Buddha. And I also want to touch upon this what we call freedom of thought. So freedom of thought, I recommend you read this sutta called Kalama Sutta, which is one of the most revolutionary suttas in the entire Buddhist canons, that what we call Kalama Sutta. In the Kalama Sutta, the Buddha actually talks about the freedom of thought. Nowadays a lot of people talk about their freedom, right? And actually those days, in the Buddha's time, if we talk about this, this is something really, really very unique. And during that time, if you can think of it, like the Buddha was like 2500 years ago, he was talking about that. This is really very important. And here what happens, the Buddha gives those guidance to the Kalamas, inhabitants of Kesaputta. He said, when he met those people, Kesaputtas came to the Buddha and said, there are a lot of people, monks and Brahmins and many people come here, and they say, they explain only their own doctrines. The doctrines of others they despise and revile and pull to pieces. Venerable Sir, there is doubt, there is uncertainty in us concerning them. Which of these reverend monks and Brahmins spoke the truth and which falsehood? And that time the Buddha said, it's proper for you Kalamas to doubt, to be uncertain. Uncertainty has arisen in you about what is doubtful. Come, Kalamas, do not go upon what has been acquired by repeated hearing. Do not know upon tradition, know upon rumor, know upon what is in a scripture, know upon surmise, know upon an axiom, know upon specious reasoning, know upon a bias towards a notion that has been pondered over, know upon another seeming ability, know upon the consideration. The monk is our teacher. Kalamas, when you yourself know these things are bad, these things are blamable, these things are censured by the wise, undertaken and observed, these things lead to harm and ill, then abandon them. So the Buddha gave these Kalamas a freedom of thought. This is considered one of the most remarkable teachings of the Buddha about freedom of thought. You can have more insight and more detailed study of this thing. This is very modern idea actually, when we think of this freedom of thought about the Kalama Sutta. So I recommend you please read this Kalama Sutta and get some more insight, more detailed information about that. That's about freedom of thought. So when you give that kind of freedom of thought to someone, it's really amazing, right? And Buddha also asked the monks, his disciples, I am just here to show you the path. I can't drag you along the path. I show you the path. It's up to you. You have to tread upon this. You have to walk along this path. I can only show you. And you also can doubt me. Definitely that is okay. That is perfectly okay if you have anything you can always ask me. And he said, this Dhamma, the more it is open, the more brighter it becomes. And so you can learn more and more. You can dig deeper into the Dhamma, explore more deeper into the Dhamma, and you can see that Dhamma becomes much more brighter and more exposed. And so Buddha gave so much leadership qualities in all these cases. And his some of his teachings, like Four Noble Truths and Noble Eightfold Path and Theory of Karma and Theory of Rebirth, and all these are really, really wonderful showpieces of what we call Buddhist perspectives on leadership. So the Buddha's leadership, the Buddhist leadership perspective actually did not deviate from its main objective, main vision and mission. So everyone had a goal, and they have a mission, very clear vision, and so they always had that goal as the Nibbana, the perfect enlightenment, the liberation, and also to get rid of this sansaric misery. For example, in the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha talks about the suffering and the cause of suffering, and the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. And so the entire Dhamma was concentrated on these Four Noble Truths. And then the dependent origination was also very wonderful teachings, and they are also very ideal for Buddhist leadership perspectives, and how the disciples were led to the final goal. All depends on these powerful tools or powerful pillars of success, and the meditation and the theory of karma, all these things, theory of rebirth, all these things are very, very important goals and perspectives and aspects of Buddhist leadership. Okay, so with that, I think we conclude for today, and let's discuss more when you have more things in future. You can always get back to me if you have any problem, and also please read the materials given in the folder, and hope to see you next week with the presentation. And so I would like you to go through this, any of this. For example, you can have a look at the loving kindness, or what you call Four Sublime States, or you can just research more on these Four Sublime States, or you can talk about Sila Samadhi Panya, or morality, concentration, and wisdom, or you can talk about 5 precepts or any of the precepts. Just give a little reflection. You can also read the Kalama Sutta and give a reflection on that. Okay, so here's the thing, that the assignment for this week is also simple, but you can write about this thing. about morality in Buddhism and its impact on leadership, on a good leadership. Okay, you can talk about that, and then you can talk about 4 sublime states, and its impact on a good leadership again. Okay, and maybe I'll give you one more, Kalama Sutta and its impact on a good leadership. So just you select any of these topics: morality in Buddhism, or 4 sublime states, or Kalama Sutta. Read more about this and write about a page or two. Just a reflection would be enough, but include more insight into leadership. Okay, and with that we will conclude and see you next week. And please have a look at our Google Drive folder and get more information about the presentation. And I also got some of your emails, and if any of you have any problem, please get back to me. You can text me or you can email me, and also please send me the PowerPoint presentation, and you can also write a summary of your presentation and make sure your paper is ready so that you can be ready for that. And also please fill the form that I have shared in the Google Drive folder. You have to fill the form if you are doing the presentation. That way I know you are there, and I know you how many people are there, so that way I have already given all the details in the folder. And please see that, please read that, and let me know if you have any question. With that, let's conclude for today, and good luck to all of you. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you next week. Until then, I wish you all a very peaceful and happy week ahead. Bye-bye.